how many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
Cardi B. Cardi got her cheek back, allegedly. I hope that ain't true.
Cardi B has just been thrown into the center of absolute chaos. The headlines are exploding, and the industry buzz is even more intense behind closed doors. The FBI has officially pulled her in for questioning linked to the Diddy scandal. Let that sink in. One of hip-hop's biggest powerhouses, a global pop culture icon, now face-to-face with federal agents about one of the darkest scandals shaking the music world. This isn't petty rap drama. This isn't social media trash talk. This is a case that's already dragged down legends. And now Cardi finds herself in the hot seat. The shockwaves are massive, and the timing couldn't be more dangerous for her.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witness violence.
What makes this story even more explosive is why the feds want Cardi's voice in the first place. For years, she wasn't just some star who crossed paths with Diddy. She was there, inside the walls of his legendary, now infamous parties. Her name showed up on guest lists, walking into birthday bashes surrounded by icons like Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Kris Jenner, and nearly every heavyweight from Hollywood to hip-hop. Back then, it looked like pure luxury. Today, it looks like a witness lineup. Investigators have zeroed in on those nights, and they aren't just asking about champagne toasts or red carpet glamour. They're digging into whether those gatherings were the front for Diddy's most disturbing operations. And Cardi? She wasn't just a random face in the crowd, she was a regular guest, which makes her both valuable and vulnerable. The question burning through the industry is clear. What exactly does Cardi know? Maybe she was simply another celebrity enjoying the scene, showing up, taking pictures and leaving. But maybe, just maybe, she saw enough to hand the FBI the kind of testimony that could tear the lid off everything. Because these parties weren't all sparkle and lights. Court filings already mention hidden cameras, strange rules, and behavior that now looks sinister in hindsight. Some witnesses even claim Diddy's mansions had recording devices in every room, capturing stars and executives in compromising situations. If Cardi can verify even a fraction of that, the shockwaves won't just hit hip-hop. They could rattle the entire entertainment industry.
They needed to show that there was an agreement, that the organization knew what it was doing, that it was an enterprise, not in law, but in fact, that people understood the object of the enterprise, which was to promote Sean Combs and his brands and sort of fulfill any deviant desires he may have had, and then to cover up any crimes committed over the course of fulfilling the desires.
What makes this story even more explosive is why the feds want Cardi's voice in the first place. For years, she wasn't just some star who crossed paths with Diddy. She was there, inside the walls of his legendary, now infamous parties. Her name showed up on guest lists, walking into birthday bashes surrounded by icons like Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Kris Jenner, and nearly every heavyweight from Hollywood to hip-hop. Back then, it looked like pure luxury. Today, it looks like a witness lineup. Investigators have zeroed in on those nights, and they aren't just asking about champagne toasts or red carpet glamour. They're digging into whether those gatherings were the front for Diddy's most disturbing operations. And Cardi, she wasn't just a random face in the crowd, she was a regular guest, which makes her both valuable and vulnerable. The question burning through the industry is clear. What exactly does Cardi know? Maybe she was simply another celebrity enjoying the scene, showing up, taking pictures and leaving. But maybe, just maybe, she saw enough to hand the FBI the kind of testimony that could tear the lid off everything. Because these parties weren't all sparkle and lights. Court filings already mention hidden cameras, strange rules, and behavior that now looks sinister in hindsight. Some witnesses even claim Diddy's mansions had recording devices in every room, capturing stars and executives in compromising situations. If Cardi can verify even a fraction of that, the shockwaves won't just hit hip-hop, they could rattle the entire entertainment industry.
Continue to engage in all these freak-offs with him, and he sounds really pissed off.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know, you think you silent treating me, and you think I'm going to be, nah, you'll have a rude awakening.
Cardi hasn't exactly made things easier for herself. In a heated live stream, she openly confessed she regretted marrying Offset, bluntly saying, "I've always been too good for you." She went on with words that sounded torn between bitterness and resignation, thanking him for their kids, but accusing him of jealousy and small-mindedness. Back then, it seemed like just another messy chapter in their public drama. But now people are asking, was she venting because the pressure was closing in? Did she already know the FBI was on her trail? The timing feels impossible to ignore. Offset pulling away, Cardi declaring her independence, and federal agents circling above like vultures. And here's where it gets truly dangerous for Diddy's circle. Cardi isn't just another witness. She could be the key that unlocks the whole vault. She knows the players, the energy in those rooms, who slipped in quietly and who stayed behind once the cameras were off. Picture her in a federal interview, dropping names no one ever expected to hear. These aren't just celebrities. We're talking cultural icons, billion-dollar corporations, even political heavyweights who brushed shoulders at those gatherings. A single confirmed detail from her lips could topple careers and dynasties. No wonder the entire industry is holding its breath.
This was when his personal assistant was on the stand, and they were asking him about drugs that he had witnessed that Sean Diddy Combs had taken, and he talked about, and he said that one of those pills was in the shape of President Obama's face. Got some reaction from the juries, as if just to make an acknowledgement as to, oh, that's really interesting. That was in the shape of President Obama's face.
Of course, Cardi isn't walking into this as some spotless figure. Her own record is clouded with allegations that refuse to fade. Court documents from Imani Ellis accuse her of a violent altercation back in 2018. Claims that Ellis says left lasting scars requiring plastic surgery. The filings paint Cardi as someone who wielded her fame like a weapon, even pressuring Ellis out of her joys to Diddy's world-trigger federal seizures, crushing fines, and a storm of public humiliation. It may sound harsh, but in this business, survival isn't optional, it's instinct.
We've talked about the fact that there's sometimes videos or photos or what don't get admitted to a case because they're overly prejudicial.
Right. This is getting admitted. Both sides
definitely getting admitted.
Both sides agree it's going to be admissible. The defense has a hurdle to jump. I will tell you that they vote in the end, and the vote may.
The weight on Cardi is almost unbearable. To fans, she's still the Bronx superstar draped in designer looks with hit records on the charts. To the FBI, she's a critical piece in mapping out exactly how Diddy's empire ran. And to industry insiders watching from the shadows, she's a ticking time bomb, one statement away from detonating scandals bigger than anything we've ever seen. But here's the question no one wants to say out loud. Can the feds really rely on Cardi B? Or is there a darker layer to her story we haven't uncovered yet? And the ripples aren't stopping with her. The FBI's net is spreading fast across Hollywood and hip-hop royalty. Everyone who ever stepped into Diddy's mansions is now looking back in fear. Those glittering birthday parties, the photos of Beyoncé and Jay-Z, Kris Jenner with her daughters, Kate Beckinsale, Naomi Campbell, even Paris Hilton. Nights once remembered for gowns and headlines are now being dissected inside federal files. Investigators know Cardi was in those rooms, but she wasn't alone. And if she starts naming names, she could expose a lineup of A-listers that would shake the entire entertainment world to its core. No one wants their identity whispered inside a federal office. Yet here we are, counting down until the first subpoenas hit mailboxes.
Let's just be real for a second. there are a lot of lawyers who call this legal extortion, and that this is the way the legal system works, which is you threaten somebody with reputational harm. And in this case, it's interesting that Jay-Z, who's very wealthy, said it would be financial.
This is where the narrative shifts. It's no longer just about Diddy, but about an entire culture that enabled him. The whispers of freak-offs, hidden cameras, and shady dealings were once dismissed as rumors. Now, court documents are confirming pieces of those stories, and that makes Cardi's role even more dangerous. She wasn't some background guest fading into the crowd. She was front and center, photographed smiling alongside the very figures now named in lawsuits. If she decides to cooperate, she could map out who entered those rooms and testify in front of federal investigators. And if Cardi does end up in that chair, her words won't just endanger celebrities. She could put Offset himself at risk.
Offset himself.
Keep making moves on top of moves on top of moves until the move that you make grants you to be the queen. Checkmate. King. You dig what I'm saying? It's all a game. Hey, what I say? It's all entertainment, baby. It's all entertainment. It's all entertainment.
Because let's not forget, Offset wasn't some outsider to those nights. He was right there at many of the parties, and the photos don't lie. If Cardi starts naming names, how long before someone points a finger at him? Suddenly, his rush to create distance looks less like heartbreak and more like strategy. Was he warning Cardi to pull back before things spiraled further? Or was he quietly cutting ties to protect his own empire? That uncertainty is exactly what makes this saga so gripping. But what pushes the story into darker territory are the growing claims about Diddy's secret surveillance. Court filings and insider accounts describe hidden cameras planted across his properties, capturing moments guests thought were private. These weren't standard home security systems. They were allegedly positioned with purpose, designed to monitor every corner of his mansions. If that's true, then every smile, every whispered exchange, every intimate act may have been recorded, for reasons too unsettling to even imagine.
All I'm saying is, if I felt like my girl was cheating, I'm gonna get it off of these two. If I felt like my girl was cheating and she said these things to dispel my thought, it would not be dispelled.
No, at all.
This chilling possibility adds a whole new level of danger for Cardi B. As a regular guest at those infamous gatherings, she may have been recorded without ever knowing it. Even if her only intention was to soak up the music and the scene, the cameras wouldn't have cared. The idea that hours of unseen footage might exist, capturing her alongside the industry's biggest names, raises terrifying questions. Could her testimony to the FBI confirm that those tapes are real? And if so, what happens when investigators demand to see who else was caught on film? The notion of a hidden archive also explains how Diddy may have held such power for so long. In an industry where image is currency, nothing creates leverage like video evidence. Imagine knowing that just a few seconds of footage could bring down the world's biggest stars in music, film, or politics. For years, silence in his circle may not have come from loyalty, but from fear. Fear that one wrong move would mean their most private moments being unleashed. Cardi's knowledge of those parties could be the key to exposing this darker reality, and the whispers only get more disturbing. If such tapes exist, they may not have been used, only could be the missing link, tying together fragments of rumor and transforming them into hard evidence. That could expand the circle of implicated names.